Our chief guest of today's webinar, Sri V. Muralidharanji, our Honorable Minister of State, External Affairs and Parliamentary Affairs. Our keynote speaker, Professor Mohan Kumar Gautamji, Chancellor and President, European University of East and West, Netherlands. Professor Ajay Kumar Dubey, Dr. BBL Madhukarji, Professor Annapurna Pandey, our guest of honor, Ambassador Anup Mudgalji, Secretary Antarashtriya Sahयोग Parishad, Professor Nirja Gupta ji, Professor Alok Chaktawal, our valedictory speaker, Sri Bhargav Mitra ji, Joint Secretary, Dr. Priyadat ji, Professor Rajesh Kumar ji, President, Alumni Association of JNU, Dr. Dheeraj Kumar Singh, convener of the webinar, Dr. Mahib, Professor Atanu Bhattacharya, Chairperson, Center of Diaspora Studies, Central University of Gujarat, Dr. Pramod Kumarji, Registrar, JNU, all learned speakers, participants, ladies and gentlemen. Really, we can say that it has been a wonderful webinar altogether today because we could witness elegant deliberations by many of our, almost all of our learned speakers. The Indian diaspora represents the largest diaspora in the world. The Indian diaspora has been a source of remittances, technology, and intellectual power. Ever since the Indian economy was liberalized and began to grow at a rapid pace, the prosperous diaspora in the developed countries and the massive number of migrant workers in the Gulf became the backbone of the Indian economy. India has continued to respond very well to the requirements of the diaspora by creating the machinery in our missions abroad and in state capitals and in Delhi. The impact of COVID-19 pandemic has been seen almost in all countries of the world. The economies in almost all countries have suffered badly. Even the most developed nations could not find adequate measures to address the problems arising out of pandemic situation. The government of India has taken various steps, as pointed out by all the learned speakers, and rather outstanding steps have been taken by the government to mitigate the difficulties emerged out of COVID-19 pandemic and to assure the safety and security and livelihood of Indian citizens as well as Indian diaspora who are abroad. Very nicely, it was pointed out by our Honorable Minister that our infrastructure has come under severe stress in this COVID-19 pandemic. But so nicely India has responded with many examples. He very nicely quoted that in the beginning, we were not in a position to manufacture our personal protective equipments, PPE, but now we are doing it with a massive scale. And he pointed out that Jan bhi and Jahan bhi, that we have to save the lives. And at the same time, we have looked for the complex situation arising out of the COVID-19 pandemic. But at the same time, India has responded so well with so many types of schemes, and very nicely he pointed out that during the 6 phases that mission initiated by the government of India to take Indian diaspora from various countries to India has succeeded very well, and we are now in the 6th phase of that one. Our keynote speaker, Mohan Gautamji, pointed out some of the problems related to that especially related to the cultural diplomacy, and that point was well taken by the other speakers. Professor Ajay Dubey has also nicely let down the entire scenario that how Indian government has responded, and almost all of the workers, they appreciated the steps taken by the government, and some of the problems which were outlined by Professor Annapurna Pandey, like the visa holders. So already it was, the point was narrated by our joint secretary, and he has very nicely mentioned that all points have been taken care, and especially he mentioned about the problems of the students and especially the jobless persons, that how when they come back to India, how their repatriation is being done and how they will be looked after. So many schemes have been launched by the government of India in this regard. Ambassador Anup Mudigalji, and very nicely he told that for the last 40 years that Antarashtriya Sahyog Parishad has been working related to the problems of Indian diaspora, and the ASRP has organized a series of sectoral dialogues with diaspora located in different countries. And India, the very important point, he mentioned that India has supplied large number of skilled and semi-skilled workers during the last 30 years. And that's the reason why the Indian diaspora today represents the largest diaspora in the world. Professor Nirja Gupta ji also outlined very nicely how India responded to manage the crisis, and she pointed out about the yoga and other practices being followed in India, and which has been very helpful for the other persons. Here, I would like to make a special point to Dr. BBL Madhukarji, who pointed out that we have to be technologically advanced, and our research publications has to be more and more quality oriented. I would like to point it out here that even today also, if we check out, if you see the Indian publications coming out of science and technology, we are number third in the world. And our IITs, many of our ICERs, many of the central university, and many of the state university are doing exceedingly well in terms of technological development, in terms of patents, in terms of quality research. And in the days ahead, we see still bright future of Indian scientists, Indian engineers. And as our that Joint Secretary Bhargav Mitra ji, he pointed out the main complexity of the Indian situation, that we are dealing with the people, 135 crore people. So the complexities are to be realized, and realizing the complexity and how the government has done, to really the work done by the government has been really outstanding. And not only Indian people have appreciated, but people across the globe, even in different countries, the premiers of different countries, they have appreciated the work done by the government of India, because in the time of crisis, we are number third in terms of pharma industries, and we have exported, even we have supplied the medicines and many equipment to different countries. So taking all together, that today's international webinar has witnessed very excellent deliberations by our chief guest and by all learned speakers who are here from the different parts of the world. And I'm sure the deliberations of this webinar will be very useful in planning future strategies, making policy recommendations to help the plight of COVID-19 affected diaspora residing in different parts of the world, and those Indians who have returned back from various parts of the world to India. So with these words, I thank you once, all of you, thank you all.